It is going to be a Myles Garrett marathon over the next days, weeks, and possibly months. And I don't want you to miss a thing, so make sure you are subscribed to the Cleveland Browns reports. That way you stay in the know when it comes to 95. Now that the dust has started to settle a little bit from the bombshell we all saw this morning, and that was Myles Garrett requesting a trade, I want to recap some of the news out there and also kind of re-hit a couple of things we learned this morning, but with a little bit more clarity because I tend to get worked up a little bit when big moves and news like this happens. And I need a little bit of time to kind of let everything settle down and then come at it again from a fresh perspective. I want to relook really quickly at Garrett's trade request because when you read it over a second, a third, or like me, 10 or 11 times, there seems to be something different about his trade request versus other players' trade requests across the NFL. He is explicitly stating he is searching for a Super Bowl. Money does not appear to be a problem for Myles Garrett. And I applaud him for that because far too often I feel like players make decisions purely rooted in money when they already have lots of it and they don't make decisions based on winning. So for that, I applaud and commend Myles Garrett. But if you're wondering if, hey, what if they throw a big fat contract extension at him to make him happy? That does not appear to be the solution to this problem. He wants to play for a contender. The only way the Browns can do that is if they give him one hell of a PowerPoint presentation and make him believe that can be done in Cleveland. I reread that trade request and I kept walking away with two thoughts to it. One, money's not the issue here, and that's not going to be the problem solver. Two, he does not believe the Browns are close to winning a Super Bowl. And he wants to win a Super Bowl, and he does not think that can happen in Cleveland. And as Dianna Russini just put on screen, and we just put on screen and said, the Browns have evidently known about this for a little bit of time now, which really makes me rethink some of the comments that Andrew Berry had at the Senior Bowl last week when he told Mary Kay and Zach Jackson they have no interest in trading Garrett. To me, that seems like one of the first few chess moves of Garrett versus the Browns. The Browns were making it explicitly clear before Garrett even had the opportunity to publicly request a trade, they have no interest in trading him. And then we see this from Jeremy Fowler saying the Browns have a stance of nothing has changed. Team has publicly said it has no plans to trade Garrett. I want to unpack this part right now. Myles Garrett does not have a no-trade clause. Myles Garrett wants to go play for a contender. Garrett is going to get dealt. He is going to get traded wherever the Browns trade him. And that may not be the contender he is looking for. Because if the Browns do go down this trade path, because keep in mind, while a trade request is, a big move, it does not guarantee a trade. A lot of guys have requested trades. David Njoku, he requested a trade. He did not get traded. He got an extension, but I don't think the extension is what Garrett's looking for here. He's 29, turning 30 in December, and he does not feel like the Browns are going to win a Super Bowl in the next 2 to 3 years in the prime of his career. So going back to the trade side of things now. If you're wondering what the Browns could get, here's what Dianna Russini shared. I do think it's very important to remember this. A NFL GM told her, probably a first plus. Can't wait for it'll be a 3 first crowds. Not happening. 1 and a 2, 1 and 2 threes. Throw a player in there. This is what I said in my very first video this morning about the Garrett trade request. The Browns are not getting 3 first-round picks. Is Myles Garrett worth 3 first-round picks? Yes. This is the ultimate tough pill to swallow. The Browns are not going to get what Myles Garrett's worth. If an arbitrator came in and deemed a value fair for what Myles Garrett's worth is, you're not getting that. That's just not how trades work. And I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, But if you are going to die on the hill of the Browns must get 3 firsts or don't trade them, they're not going to get 3 firsts, and they're going to hold on to a disgruntled employee. And that's going to radiate throughout the locker room. That is not a good situation. So I am sorry if you are seeking 3 first-round draft picks. You're not getting 3 first-round draft picks for Myles Garrett. I'm not saying you're not going to get anything good, but you're not going to get all that. You're likely going to get what Dianna Russini said, a first and then some type of combination of day 2 picks. In my ambitious but semi-realistic trade proposal, it was 2 firsts and a third. Maybe it's a first and a second and a third, but that's likely going to be the outcome. 1 first, a second, a third, maybe 2 firsts and a third, but now we're not splitting hairs, but we're in the right ballpark. We're not in the stratosphere of 3 first-round picks, though. Switching gears slightly here as we stay on the Myles Garrett thread and keep pulling at it. Will the Browns do right by 95? He wants to go play for a contending team. He does not have a no-trade clause, like I mentioned a dozen times. I bring that up because it is important. The Browns can trade him to the Bills. I'm sure Buffalo would love to have him. The Browns will get a first, a second, a third, maybe another first, something like that. Or, if the Browns are going to engage in trade talks, they can start by calling the Chicago Bears, who have the 10th overall draft pick, as we look at the NFL draft order, and decide, yeah, I know you want to play for a contending team, Myles, but we'd rather have the 10th pick compared to the 30th overall draft pick. So as we look through the NFL draft order here, what's stopping the Browns from talking to the Bears at 10, the Dolphins at 13, the Falcons at 15, the Cardinals at 16, and going, we'd rather have the 16th pick than the 22nd pick from the Chargers or the 24th pick from the Vikings? You don't have a no-trade clause. There's nothing you can do about it. The only real hurdle is if Garrett has his agent tell the Falcons, the Bears, the Cardinals that he's not going to sign a contract extension with them. So you're not going to get him for the rest of his career. So don't bother giving up all this draft capital. I don't want to be there. The Browns, I wouldn't say they have all the leverage here, but they have final say if they decide they want to do what's best for the team. And the feeling I get right now is the Browns are not going to go up to Myles and kiss his feet and say, wherever you want to go, just tell us and we'll trade you to whichever team you prefer. No, they're going to say, all right, you want to get traded? Fine. We'll trade you, but we're going to trade you the team we want to trade you to. We want to do what's best for the team. And we're not going to take a lesser offer from the 30th overall pick Buffalo Bills when the Bears are offering up the 10th pick. And that's where this could get ugly. That's where this divorce could get bad. And that's a bummer because Myles is the best player in franchise history. And I did not want to have this conversation today. No one wanted to see this news. But if the Browns remain adamant they don't want to trade him, and Garrett wants to trade, someone's going to have to budge. And if it's the Browns budging, they're probably going to do what's best for the team. And that's going to piss off Garrett on his way out. It's not going to be a nice departure. I've got more to share, more news to get to, so don't go anywhere. But first things first, a big special shout out to our friends at Game Time. Game Time has this awesome feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. One thing I really like about Game Time is their all-in pricing option. Toggling this feature shows the total upfront cost with no surprise fees at checkout. Plus, on Game Time, you can filter by city, so you can see what's going on in Cleveland, whether it's a Cavs game, a concert, or any other sporting event with Game Time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHAT Sports for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Going back to the trade, Andrew Berry cannot let this drag out. They don't have to trade him. A lot of times, extensions, put a smile on someone's face. Big new contract. But Andrew Berry has to know that the NFL draft is a major and consequential deadline for a Myles Garrett trade. Because if I go back in history, I love history, and I look at the Khalil Mack trade, which is a similar trade. He was 1 year removed from Defensive Player of the Year, 27 years old when he got dealt, so a little bit younger than Garrett. But he went to from the Raiders to the Bears for 2 first-round draft picks, along with a 6th and a 3rd. And Chicago got a 7th, so ignore the 7th and 6th swap. And they also got a 2nd rounder. So basically 2 firsts and a late or early 3rd round pick, which is kind of in the ballpark like I was talking about earlier for Myles. If that is the case there, I want you guys to look at this name. Do you know what this is? This is Reggie McKenzie. That was the Raiders GM who traded Khalil Mack to Chicago. That trade happened in August, right before the regular season started. You want to know what happened to Reggie and the Raiders in 2018? Oakland won 4 games. Reggie was fired, replaced by Mike Mayock. And Reggie never got to make a single selection with the 2 first-round draft picks he got for Khalil Mack. If Andrew Berry trades Myles in the offseason, in July, in training camp, the draft picks he gets for him, he may never see. He'll be fired if the Browns have a bad 2025 season. And now he has made the biggest move of his career since trading for Deshaun Watson, and he will not get to reap, if there are any rewards of this trade, the draft picks that come out of it, because he will be Reggie McKenzie. Browns will win 3, 4, 5 games possibly, without Myles especially. And they'll fire Berry. They'll fire Stefanski. And the next regime will inherit all those draft picks. And Berry made a blockbuster move, and he never got 1 cent of the return. This is why if a trade is going to happen, if you're Andrew Berry, you have to do it before the draft to save your own butt. But if you want to drag this out with Garrett and hope he changes his mind, hope that a contract extension dangled in front of him and no trade before the draft will have him revisit and rethink things, that's a major gamble. Maybe it works, but if not, and you end up dealing him in August because he has sat out all of training camp and shows no signs of turning up for week 1, you're not going to get a single pick that you got for him to use yourself, since you'll likely be fired. And someone else, your replacement, will be the one making all those selections from the trade that you made. So with that all being said, should the Browns trade Myles Garrett before the draft? Is this something that Cleveland should expedite? I'm sorry to say my answer is yes. If I'm thinking about what's best for this team, if you let this go into July and August, the picks you get for him, while you may not love Andrew Berry making those selections, it's not going to be as fruitful as if it's pre-draft. Because when you are trading for the unknown, because you don't know what first-round pick you're going to get from a team, where they're going to be picking, you might be inheriting the 32nd overall pick if they win the Super Bowl and you deal them to the Bills. As for some trade destinations, let's run through them. Tomorrow's video, I'll do a deeper dive on these. But as of this moment, and we'll just go bit by bit here, Dylan, we'll start with the Bears. The Bears at 10 seem like a plausible outcome. They need pass rush help. They have Caleb Williams. They have a new coach. They have a new everything. I could see the Bears going, we were going to go edge rusher at 10, but Myles Garrett's a proven commodity. We'll give you our first, our second round pick, and a future third or a future second and we'll take Myles off your hands. Don't sleep on the Bears at 10. The next team, the Falcons at 15. Now, keep in mind, both these teams missed the playoffs. Both these teams had losing records. But if the Browns are going to do what's best for the Browns, they would much rather pick 10 or 15 compared to, spoiler, where these teams are going to be picking. But the Falcons make some sense as well. They desperately need pass rush help. They finished 31st in sacks last year. They don't have a ton of draft capital this season. They have a first, a second, a fourth, and 2 sevenths. 5 picks altogether. So that might really handcuff Atlanta's ability to negotiate with Cleveland. The next team, the Chargers at 22. I could see LA re-looking at their defense. Joey Bosa has just unfortunately had his career derailed by injuries. Khalil Mack is a free agent. The Chargers are a team to keep an eye on. They're a contending team. So if the Browns want to find some middle ground of, we want to do right by Myles because he's done so much for us, but we also want to get at least a semi-early-ish pick, this could be a happy medium for both parties. The next team, the Minnesota Vikings. I have seen all over the internet J.J. McCarthy for the Browns. I do think that J.J. McCarthy's profile as a quarterback could fit Kevin Stefanski quite nicely. He was an under-center quarterback at college who ran a pro-style offense, who can run play action effectively. He's got a very strong arm. There is a lot to JJ that I could see Stefanski liking. At this point, if you have to trade Garrett, I don't hate the idea of taking a swing at JJ and bringing him over in a trade with the Vikings and taking a rookie quarterback as well and let the best man win. I personally am not super high on McCarthy, but I don't have a crystal ball. I could easily be wrong. So I'm not going to let my own pre-draft evaluation of McCarthy get in the way of the Browns acquiring a quarterback and maybe hitting a little bit of a Hail Mary, going from what looks to be a disastrous future without Garrett there anymore to, wow, we've turned Garrett into our next franchise quarterback and we take Abdul Carter second overall, and just like that, we're right back in this thing. Fifth and final trade destination I want to talk about, the Buffalo Bills. They're picking 30th. They should be taking down cell towers in Cleveland for Myles Garrett. They desperately need a true alpha on that front 4, front 5 to take down Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. The Bills should do everything in their power. The Bills might be the team, if there is a team to offer up 3 firsts for Myles Garrett, knowing this 30th overall pick compared to the Bears or Falcons is like a second round pick. So Buffalo, to compensate for not having early first round picks, might offer an additional first and go, we'll give you 3 ones. Keep in mind, those 3 ones are likely going to be picking between 28 and 32. So you're getting a lot of Greg Newsome and David Njoku type players. Whereas you could take 2 firsts or a first and 3 seconds and have one of those firsts be the 10th or 15th overall pick. Where you can find a Tristan Wirfs, CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, guys who went in this range more than this range. So that is our second video for today. We will be back tomorrow with, I think, some more trade packages and compensations and ideas all together, plus any news or rumors that comes out there over the next few hours. Thank you all for watching. No pick a card to end today's episode. Pick a card is just not happening today. It's supposed to be a fun thing. It's not fun. It's not fun talking about trading Myles Garrett.